I will give you the biggest LSU update here tonight. You got to be patient for it, though. You got to wait about 5 seconds. Went to the chiropractor. Your boy feels better. So shout out to Dr. Jeffrey Franco and the team over Enhanced Life Chiropractics. Your boy has been in pretty immense pain over the last week. My man, Dr. Franco, was amazing. He did tell me I might be a little bit sore, need to drink some water, stay hydrated, ready to go. But we did a show earlier today, and I told you your boy was in some immense pain. Well, Dr. Franco over at Enhance, and listen, I'm not a paid spokesperson for the man. I am not. But we start off the show saying your boy has felt better, right? It feels better right now than he's done in the last week. Now, I don't know how many hours that is, but we're going to find out. 24 times 7, 168 hours. It's the best I've felt in 168 hours. Your boy is ready to go. Thank you, Dr. Franco. If you're in the Greater Hammond area, North Shore, you need to get over to Enhanced Chiropractics. Those guys and those gals are fantastic. What's going to happen with LSU and Bo Davis? We'll talk that and lead with that to start off tonight's show. I know we already talked about it, but some things have already transpired, have been able to gather some other things. Where does LSU lean? Do they look at a coach in the SEC who is a defensive line coach in the interior? So we got some more that we need to touch on there with Bo Davis. I'm assuming that you and I are going to be spending a lot of our time in the beginning of this talking about Bo Davis. Harrison Fant from SEC Unfiltered, who covers college baseball, is going to be joining us at 6:30. We got tons to discuss with him. LSU Baseball Weekend. How's he seen LSU? We'll also go around the SEC to talk a little bit about baseball there as well tonight. We also are going to be touching on LSU Baseball Weekend. And at the end of the show, after I give some of my thoughts, which I'm sure I'll give them with Harrison, we're going to do hashtag Ask Blake. Thoughts, questions, concerns, thoughts and questions that you may have, we're going to get to here tonight. Holden Lee says LSU softball with a big win over number 4 UCLA. It was unable to catch it today, but you're right. A massive win. 2-1, right? 2-1. Big win for LSU softball. Beth Torino, happy for her, man. A lot of people have been calling for her head, but I'm happy they were able to get it over number 4 UCLA. Stanford, didn't they lose to Stanford last year? Wasn't that the team they lost to? Michael Sampson says he loves me. Well, Michael, I'm a happily married man. I'm sorry, bud. Greg says, what's up, Blake? Good to have you in here with us. Cajun Water says, if Gruden can be brought back, it's time for Daddy-O to come back. All right, Cajun Water, let's talk about this. I know this is a thing for some of you, but in no way can you bring back Ed Orgeron with Brian Kelly as your head coach. Just can't happen, man. Would I hate Coach O being back? No, I would not. I would not hate Coach O to ever be back. I love Coach O. Really, I do. Guys, come on. Come on. Let Coach O go. And I don't think a lot of you are using your brains with that. Ed ran this place into the ground, man. Like you can love Coach O, you can admire him, bro. Coach O did some messed up stuff there at the end. No, sorry, just it can't happen. And here's the thing: it won't happen unless you get very, very, very desperate. But even then, I don't think it happens there. Paul Sub Martin says knocked out by the tree last year after taking game 1. Yeah, I remember that. It was the tree. Stupid fighting Andrew Lux. Which, by the way, I hear some things about Stanford football right now that I haven't heard since Andrew Luck. The recruiting, some of the money that I'm hearing that they're throwing around in recruiting right now is pretty insane. Pretty insane. I highly doubt that works or it matters, but they have a massive endowment, which doesn't really matter, but they have a massive base of people that if they need money, they can go and get it. And by the way, Andrew Luck is the one that's raising the money. So, yeah. Trey on Facebook says, Blake, nice win for the baseball team. Who do we target for the D-line coach? Well, we'll be talking about that after the break here. I know we talked about it earlier in the day. There's some things we need to touch on. Gerald Chapman's name has come up, the defensive line coach at Florida. Gerald Chapman has been at LSU twice. He was here in 2021 before going to Tulane for a spring, went to Colorado, then back to LSU on an interim basis during the spring, then back to Tulane, then to Florida. I mean, listen, it doesn't matter to me at the current moment. You need consistency more than you need anything. I'm going to continue to say this. I know the title of the episode was Must Move Quickly, but we'll talk about that out of the break. A mess of what, Pauls? What did I say? Cade on YouTube says there's no way there's another team in college football that goes through as much staff turnover as LSU. Michigan went through more staff turnover than you in the last 2 years. Ohio State is going over in more staff than you. And here's the thing. Let's put this in a direction. It's not just you that that the Saints have targeted. Guys, Terry Joseph was also a really good hire that they made. So, I mean, Texas is looking for a DB's coach. Now, their DB room was really good. They were 7th in the country in passing yards allowed. They would have been 2nd if they didn't have to play the extra game more than anybody else. But the process is getting later for these college coaches. And listen, I think that Brian Kelly's they got to make a massive hire here. Not a home run hire, not a home run big name hire. Like, for example, Oklahoma this week, literally yesterday, Oklahoma hired Jim Nagy as their GM. Guys, that's not a smart hire. It is not a smart hire. It's a big name hire, and it's a smart hire because he's been a director of recruiting. I mean, not director of scouting in the NFL. Guys, this is high school. This is negotiations. This is contract negotiations. I mean, the Senior Bowl sells itself in the sense of that all 32 NFL teams are going to be there. Like, he doesn't have to recruit Emory Jones to play in the Senior Bowl. Right? Like, he doesn't have to do that. So, I mean, a lot of people want that, but it's not always the best thing for you. Legitimately, it's not. And I still think you need a defensive lineman. Or two. I think it was just interesting. Speaking of D linemen, you know, the D line today at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, it was the D line's day. Landon Jackson was a top performer along the defensive line today. Former LSU Tiger. Guy that Ed Orgeron brought in. Guys, you've just been so bad at recruiting and retaining at that position. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. So it is what it is. All right, let's get moving here. Fant, in about 20 minutes. We got a lot of Bo Davis LSU stuff we need to talk about here. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friends over our good friend, Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty, and our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm. We're back. Bo Davis talk. We do that next. Stay with us.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50. That's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50 to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. We're back. All right. I hate this time of year. I really hate this time of year when you have a coaching change, because let me tell you, you got to be on point when coaching changes go on, and it's like, well, Blake, you should be just doing your job. It is my job. But man, during baseball season, during the season, I kind of get to put my phone down, and I don't get as many phone calls. Boy, today has reminded me of what December at the end of the year feels like, but I can't complain because it's great for content. But I know we've already talked about it already, but Bo Davis is heading to New Orleans to be the next Saints defensive line coach. Or it is expected. Let me just put it like that, because things are not signed yet. Expected. I do expect Bo Davis, as he's told staff and players, that he's gone. And it did not hit, I think, the way that – well, let me back up. I think that it went when the players found out the news, it went about how you thought it would go. I don't think there's a lot of happy people in there. Speaking with some people and some sources today, I think a lot of people were shocked by this news as much as you were. It doesn't stop this fact, though. LSU has not been good along their defensive line. We talked about this earlier. We've talked about it this offseason. We've talked about it going into spring. But you're a week – like this starts Saturday. You will be a week away from spring football for LSU. The big thing here is going to be for this season, you went out and got 4 defensive linemen from the portal. You showed us by your actions that you desperately needed guys that can get after the passer and stop the run. By the portal, you told us and showed us that you thought it was arguably one of your biggest weaknesses. It's not my actions. It was LSU's actions. By those actions, we had a segment earlier today talking about what has been the worst position group overall for LSU the last 3 years. Now, we could blame safety. The problem with blaming safety is that Jay Ward and Greg Brooks and those guys in 22 had a really good year, and your DB room was actually not that bad with Jared Bernard Converse and others. But I look at the holistic nature. Now, some of you wanted to debate me today about this fact that we brought up today on X or Twitter, or whatever you would like to call it. And the 8 SEC losses that Brian Kelly has at LSU, LSU is averaging 257.88 yards given up on the ground. I saw a lot of your thoughts, and I saw a lot of your comments of a lot of you saying, well, Blake, that comes off of a running quarterback. What's your point? Because that actually isn't all completely true. Like, I'm old enough to remember 2 years ago when you were in a situation when you had a running back in Rocket Sanders who ran all over you, or this past year, Rocket Sanders running all over you. And 2 years ago, Quinshon Judkins doing the same exact thing. Because you have been bad in the running game, regardless of who's running the ball against you in most moments. The only loss that you had was to a Florida team who did have 75 yards rushing on you in the fourth quarter, but they only had 113. Guys, you got to get better in your front seven. That is the truth. That has been the truth. It's why I flashed out last Wednesday. Now, a lot of it had to be due to because I was in immense pain. But legitimately, it has been, in my humble opinion, overall, the last 3 years, your worst position. Guys, you win games up front. It is that simple. Ohio State is your reigning national champion. They had 3 games where they made stops at the 1-yard line because their defensive line was tenacious that stopped opponents. 2 of those games they won, and the loss that they had against Michigan was not their fault. They gave up 13 points. Their offense was not that great that day. You win games up front. Now, you do bring back Kevin Peoples. And just so that we're all aware and it doesn't get mistranslated here, I still think that you borderline could be pretty elite at edge. With Jack Pyburn, Jamari Butler, and Patrick Payton, and what you're going to do with Harold Perkins in rushing the passer, I still feel that you could be very, very, very good at that position. Because you showed me, and Blake Baker showed me, and Kevin Peoples showed me, along with Braden Swinson, who was at the NFL Combine today, that you can develop there. We've seen it. Guys, I thought Savion Jones this past year was his best year overall. What would Kevin Peoples have done if he were able to guide him for longer? But the fact remains that you have had a massive issue in the interior. There's no other way to slice it. There's no other way to dice it. Literally 2 months ago, we had a discussion about the defensive line and how this exact thing of you giving up that many yards on the ground has been a problem for you. It doesn't change overnight. Now, for once, you finally have some depth when it comes to bodies in that interior defensive line room. And Bo did not do bad at replenishing that room. I really hope that none of those young men entered the portal in the spring window, because that would be a travesty. And I wonder what a guy like Sadir Mitchell, who transferred from Texas because of Bo Davis, I wonder what he's feeling today. But guys, this is a multi-year process for LSU at DT. I pray and hope that a guy like Don McKinley has a massive offseason. You need it. You need a guy like Don McKinley to have a massive offseason. You need a guy like Sadir Mitchell to, number one, stay with you, but number two, have a massive offseason. Because, guys, quite frankly, if you don't, you will be on the outside looking in of the playoff when you know that you should probably be there. Guys, I look at a situation, and I don't think that you'll be this bad. You won't be 2023 bad, regardless of Bo Davis leaving or not. You're not going to be that bad. It's just not going to happen. I do worry about, though, that I saw a guy in Jaden Daniels being a Heisman Trophy contender and it not mattering and you going 9-3. Maybe you can close the gap a little bit. But, man, that room has taken a beating. And Brian Kelly and Scott Woodward got to fix it. Scott Woodward, in general, should know by now that that room has been a travesty. Because Scott Woodward's been here since 2019. And since 2019, Bill Johnson, Andre Carter, Jamar Cain, Jimmy Lindsey, John Jancic, Bo Davis, and as of today, midday, Kevin Peoples. I guess I could put in another one, but you're on 7 coaches and what will probably be 8 for the interior defensive line group. 8 guys have been here since 2020 along LSU's defensive line in the interior. And we're supposed to act like it's not a massive deal. It is a massive deal. More than anything, LSU and Brian Kelly have got to land this DT hire. They got to land it for one reason and one reason only. Yes, you can make the argument it could be recruiting. It can be development. Guys, they got to have consistency. LSU has had a revolving door at that position, and it's quite frankly killed them. That's not going to work for anybody. They got to do what they got to do to make sure that this doesn't happen. And quite frankly, I don't want to hear anything about money. There should be no stone unturned that you should not do to make sure that you make this room solidified for more than a year. At some point, you got to put your foot down and say enough is enough. And pay somebody enough to put your foot down that this doesn't happen so you can rebuild a room. I know that there are other coaches that may get mad if you bring in a defensive line coach in that makes more money than them. But the problem is that it's a massive problem for the program that you're coaching for. At some point, you got to take your ego out of it. And by the way, none of you should have a massive ego right now based off of what you did last season. You got to put your foot down because it will, I'm telling you, it will be the same story over and over again if you're not careful. You'll get into one of these high-profile games and you will lose because a team ran all over you. It can't happen. The relentless pursuit has got to be pursued to make sure that everyone remembers what you can be. Because, guys, you're getting in a time frame for Brian Kelly, there are no more excuses. There are no more excuses. You get judged on a different grade scale. And I, for one, am not going to be a person that gives anybody a pass just because for this upcoming season because Bo Davis left. Not going to do it. Replacements. There are some names that have been thrown out there already. Eric Henderson, we talked about, the USC co-defensive coordinator at USC. I don't know how that's going to go. I do think that there has been a narrative that's been thrown out there. The narrative that's been thrown out there is, well, man, that guy's buyout is immense. And I think that you're going to hear that. I think when you're going to start hearing, well, man, we looked at this guy and that guy, and, man, the buyout's insane, or he wants too much money. You're about to spend a crap load of money on a roster, over $20 million. I don't want to hear it anymore. I quite simply don't want to hear it. Because the goal for this place should be to win. Gerald Chapman and Eric Henderson are names that have been thrown around. You're going to have to buy out somebody if you want to solidify that room at a pretty massive rate. Because a lot of these guys have been extended or they're just coming into a program. So, those would be the two names that I've heard the most. We'll see. We've talked about Kevin Peoples. With Kevin Peoples, I don't like him having the entire room, if I'm being honest. I don't like it. Because at minimum, you got to go hire a crap load of GAs. Okay? His forte is what you're doing at edge. Considering the fact that at least in my humble opinion, that you could be borderline elite there. I really do believe that you could be that good at edge. Considering the fact that you could be elite there and you have the potential to be great, why would I take a guy and move him and distract him on both positions when there's simply work that could be done with Butler, Pyburn, and Peyton? We have to be in a situation where, ooh, did y'all hear that? I know y'all heard that. We need to be in a situation where the guy in the portal that got the weapons can utilize those weapons. Guys, as of tonight, I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know where LSU goes. I hope they make a swift move. But even if they make a swift move, I like I said earlier today, the time doesn't matter to me if you can't land the right guy that can bring you some consistency. Because, guys, again, we have been doing – listen to this. We went full time of doing a live podcast 4 to 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week. We started during COVID. We started back during COVID. We were been around since 2017, but we started back doing it during COVID. In the time that I've covered LSU football, there have been 8 different defensive line coaches. 8. I can't. My mind doesn't process that. It doesn't process it. Because, man, quite frankly, I've gotten to a place at the current moment that I feel like you're cursed in openers, in game openers, and on the defensive line. And I know, we all know. It's not just me. We all know that, guys, you defensively in the front 7 is not living up to your standard. Y'all know that, and I know that. It does start all off with recruiting, though. LSU has got to be better at retaining a coach and developing and recruiting. They got to be better. There's got to be a higher baseline. I thought you would get it with Bo Davis. Guys, he's gone. He's probably going to make more. He's probably only got a couple years till he can get his NFL pension. It's a great move for him. I don't blame Bo Davis. I don't blame Bo at all. But, man, you better be able to land at Eric Henderson or Gerald Chapman or whoever you're going after. There are some other people that are out there that I just don't think that you're going to land. There are some of those people. But, man, it can't be for a lack of trying. All right. Let's get to a couple comments. Harrison Fant was supposed to be joining us at 6:30. Make sure. Let's make sure. Let's get to a couple questions before we get to him. We'll find out where he is. Christian Burr says, we need to worry about these guys staying before them having a massive offseason. I swear we are cursed. So let's talk about that. I have heard I have heard that from multiple avenues I don't think the players were very happy. Listen, I will just say this. If you're Sadir Mitchell, how do you feel? You left a team that was competing for a national title to come to LSU for Bo Davis. You know what's funny, man? We get on guys like Bryce Underwood. We get on guys that decommit from us all the time. And then a guy that went to school here made a decision for himself. We don't overreact when coaches do it. I don't blame Bo Davis, nor do I blame any of those recruits that decommit for whatever reason and go somewhere else. Guys, it's their decision. But coaches can come and go and move as they please. Got to let players do it too, man. You got to let players do it too. Sucks. But I'm with you. David says, who are some of the names of young and up-and-coming D-line coaches that LSU could target? I mean, hold on. Let's run through some. Because I have a list right here. I'm going to pull it up. We're going to be posting it on our message board tomorrow. ayssnetwork.com/forum. Let me get to it. I tell you what, man, Marshall's defensive line coach had a good year because he had a good year, but he had that kid like Mike Green or something. So I mean, he had a kid that was exceptional. Virginia Tech had a good one. I mean, what is your boy at South Carolina? What's his buyout looking like? You're at this point, guys, you got to go make you got to go spend money at this point. Like you can't look, I will be very upset. And I'm serious about this. I will be come out here red upset if LSU just kind of, I don't want to say promote from within or do something that, because Kevin Peoples wouldn't be bad. If that's your fallout option, it wouldn't be bad. And I don't want people to think that it would be bad. But I mean, there are guys out there that you can go and get, David, that would work for you. Go get Booger McFarland. No. If you're going to do that, I love Booger to death. If you're going to go in that direction, you might as well go with Kyle Williams because at least a lot of people in the state know him. He's been in coaching. Quite honestly, had a better career than Booger McFarland. If you're going to do that, go get Kyle. But Kyle's a risk. It's a massive risk. Guy's never recruited a day in his life. He's never been like this high level. I mean, it takes a special human being, a very special human being to be a coach. But I mean, the whole spending money thing, like if you're going to go get somebody at this juncture, you're going to have to spend a lot of money. And or you're going to have to go with a guy like Kyle Williams. Like there's not like Glenn Dorsey. Bert, Glenn Dorsey's never coached a day in his life, man. He's never coached a day in his life. It's one thing about being a great player. So like Warren Sapp is the best defensive tackle that we've seen outside of Aaron Donald. Warren will tell you. Warren's been on this show. Warren would tell you. I've seen him tell people he thought his D-line played soft, that the kids were soft. What you going to tell Warren Sapp? No, I'm not. I mean, like even for him, it was an issue. And quite frankly, this has been a personnel issue too. This does not get addressed enough. This 1,000% has been a personnel issue. along with the coaching issue. It's been a mixture of both. Like, I love Mekhi Wingo. Because Mekhi Wingo is probably the best DT that you've had since 2020. Is that the standard of LSU DT play? I don't think Mason Smith had a great career here at all. I don't think Jaquelin Roy had a good career here at all. I don't maybe Tyler Shelvin, I guess. But even him. I mean, guys, when Tyler Shelvin left in 2020, it was over for you. It was over. Which he was so lazy, he didn't even want to play. He didn't even play his last year. Carl Dunbar is D-line coach of Detroit, I think. Guys, anywhere you go, you're going to have to spend money. So you go and look for a guy like Gerald Chapman. You go and get Eric Henderson. It depends on how much money you're trying to spend, too. I mean, listen, you don't get a buyout for Bo Davis, so you don't have a little leg up to go get somebody. Guys, I'm shooting for everybody. I'm going after everybody. Like, we are at a situation, and I say we like I play or coach or whatever. LSU is at a situation, in my humble opinion. In my humble opinion, they're in the situation of I don't want to say spend whatever you got to spend, but I kind of feel that way. Like, guys, at some point, when does your foot come down? When does the foot come down and you say enough is enough? Because until that day comes, then it's gonna keep going that way. Humbug says, yeah, I think a young up-and-coming D-line coach would be the best way to go. Well, guys, that's Gerald Chapman. It is Gerald. And the bad thing is Gerald was on your staff, and then you let him go, and now he's at Florida. And by the way, thumbs up, thumbs down in the chat if you watch our National College Football show. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Ruffino and Joe show. Gerald Chapman did wonders for a guy like Caleb Banks. Wonders. Caleb Banks was my sleeper up-and-comer SEC, like all SEC guy going in when we talked about it this week. Caleb Banks is a dog. He is a dog. The statistics weren't there until the end of the year, but he absolutely wrecked. Bro, he wrecked Georgia. He wrecked you. He wrecked Ole Miss. He wrecked Florida State. He wrecked Texas. He wrecked everybody. Big body DT. Don't look at the stats. Go watch the Texas game. Go back and watch the LSU game. Go back and watch the Ole Miss game. Everybody made it out to me like, oh, man, LSU had a young left guard. That's why they lost, because Caleb Banks kept coming through. Caleb Banks did that shit to Texas. He did that shit to Ole Miss. He did it to everybody. He whooped everybody's ass. Joel Chapman is a big reason. The kid even came out. The kid even reached out to us and said, I mean, like, they will tell you it's Gerald Chapman. Gerald Chapman did sign an extension this year. He signed an extension at Florida. Apparently, it was so much so to keep away some NFL teams, because in his contract, it had the NFL clause in it. Bo Davis's did not. Allegedly. Let me not confirm that, because allegedly that's true, because I did not confirm that. But that's what I've been told. Listen, man, you're going to have to go spend it. Because I just don't like Kevin Peoples. I don't like the Kevin Peoples whole D-line thing. All right, I'm just checking on Harrison. My guys, man, we hadn't been stood up in a minute. We haven't been stood up in a minute. Oh, well. Then we have Christian Lockett. Yeah, I think Christian's like working for Mockler Beverage. I think he's working for Mockler Beverage. Again, it is what it is. Royal Cousin says, Blake, why are you mentioning Deion Barnes from Penn State? Go for him, buddy. Go for him. It's just not a name that I've heard. And if you've watched this show, you will know I'm not going to just throw random names out there, because then that's when bad shit starts happening. I've learned my lesson. Like, for Royal, let me say it like this. There used to be shows where I would come out here, and I did this earlier today, by the way, with Larry Johnson. I was like, offer the man whatever he wants. That's not, and I told you, it's not going to happen. You asked me my opinion. Here's my opinion. I would go after Barnes. I would go after the guy at Marshall. I would go after the guy at Virginia Tech. I go after the guy at South Carolina. There are a lot of people I'd go after. It's not my money to spend. And I don't know the financial situation that LSU is in. Nor do I think that it matters for what it's worth. Because again, guys, let's just say LSU for what it's worth. With TV revenue share and NIL with the portal. Let's say LSU spends anywhere between 15, 18. It's going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to be between $18 to $20 million of what they've spent on this roster when it's all said and done. Okay. You made a financial commitment and have made a financial commitment to pay $26 million. The excuse is going to be because, well, we got to spend all that money. We might not be able to go get a DT coach. And that's going to be their excuse. The thing that I would bring up is, well, you've already spent that amount of money. You've already spent it. You've already gone all in here. You got a second-year starting senior quarterback that returns. The last two times that happened, well, Burrow and Jaden Daniels happened. Why would you not try to go out there and make sure, like, if you think that Garrett can be and do everything that you think he can be and do, if Garrett Nussmeier can live up to what has happened in year two starting quarterbacks at LSU, why wouldn't you go spend all the money humanly possible to get a good DT coach in here to make sure that you can get to a playoff and a national title? Why would you start mincing money now? Why would you start cutting funds now? So when you start, for me, when I bring up opinions on this show, it gets characterized as, well, Blake Ruffino said we're going after X. Blake Ruffino ain't ever said that. But Blake Ruffino is saying what he would personally do. Barnes, Larry Johnson, Carl Dunbar, any one of these great defensive line coaches that are out there. Jamar Cain, I don't think that that's ever going to happen. I would call him. I'm calling everyone. Everyone. I mean, Jamar Cain pretty much burned his bridges when the Broncos came back to New Orleans and he took a victory lap over BK and everybody. So it is what it is. All right. You know what? We're going to pivot. We're going to pivot. Harrison Fant is not joining us tonight. So it's just going to be me and you. I had plans that we were going to talk to him about some baseball. I'm going to leave it up to you. What do you guys want to talk about? Now, we can go full old school with this. Actually, you know what? I think we are going to go full old school with this. This is what we're going to do. Let me get to a break. I'm going to come back. Let me reset. And I'm going to field all your questions for the next 10 minutes. We'll keep going through the comments. We'll go full old school here. Now, if you don't remember how the show used to go, I used to come out here, give an opening monologue, and then we just go down the comments. We talk about them. We have not done that in a long time. We're about to go old school AYS. Let me take a quick break and pay some bills for myself. And when we come back, we're going to go to all your thoughts, questions, concerns. We'll continue in the comments. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Guys, BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
Harrison Fant, SEC Unfiltered. I thank you for joining us. I greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir, of course.
Guys in the chat, we are going to do old school AYS after we get to talk to Harrison here. So look, man, it's the first time we've had you on. Thank you for being with us. Let's talk some SEC baseball. LSU had a big win the other night versus DBU. I guess your thoughts about what you've seen from our Tigers before we go around the SEC here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the SEC this year, as well as the previous years, has proved to shown the country how deep the SEC is from top to bottom. I mean, the ACC is an elite conference as well, but I think the top tier talent in the SEC is better and deeper. But then the whole depth of the conference as a whole, and Chris and I talk about this on SEC Unfiltered all the time about how 6 through 10 in the standings of the SEC this season is probably going to be separated by 2 or 3 games. That's how close and how deep the SEC is. And you're going to have teams that, are, 8th or 9th in the rankings technically that are, beaten 3 and 4 because that's how deep and how talented the field is. Because I think a lot of it's derived from how recruiting's gone, right? Because you have the transfer portal, which has been just absolutely exploded since it came on the scene. But the transfer portal is now what JUCO was. And JUCO now is what high school was. And now high school, if you're not a 4 or 5 star prospect, you've kind of gotten the short end of the straw and have to go JUCO mid-major to get an opportunity to potentially play at an SEC or Power 4. So the landscape has never been deeper in college baseball. It's headlined by the SEC as it should be and as it tends to always be. I I mean, we've had the last 5 straight champions have been from the SEC, and it's been a different school each year. That just proves even further like how deep the SEC is. But speaking of deep, obviously the talent at LSU and the pedigree of the program in which the LSU Tigers are, I mean, it feels like a staple this year. I mean, a huge win they picked up versus DBU, a really good DBU squad who is probably the top 2 mid-major in the country. I mean, I had them as a dark horse last year to make Omaha. They fell short of that in the postseason, but the staff at LSU, I think, is so elite this year. I mean, I think Kane Anderson is an elite Friday night starter with stuff that plays, but also I think that he is just so confident in that role. And as a Friday night starter, you have to be confident in that role. You have to just have that kind of poise. I mean, no, he's not going to be a Paul Skeens. I don't think you compare any pitcher in, this year, let alone it feels like ever again to Paul Skeens. I mean, if Paul Skeens can't win the Golden Spikes, I don't think a pitcher is ever going to do it statistically. I mean, he lost it to his teammate. I mean, I know how close those numbers were and how dominant of a pitcher. I don't think we've ever seen that dominant pitcher since Steven Strasburg at San Diego State, and he was, I think, better than him. But Kane Anderson, go ahead. I was just saying, Kane Anderson, elite Friday night starter, and then you have Anthony Eisen, who's transferred in from a mid-major, who's been very, very seamless transition. I think for him, the stuff plays for sure. And then you have Chase Shores in the back end. I mean, I think it's a deep rotation that's going to play very well in the SEC and put a lot of teams and a lot of offenses around the SEC on notice come conference play.
You bring up Skeens. I just want to throw this out there in that Golden Spikes with Dylan. I mean, if Dylan didn't get on base 51 straight games, I might have agreed, but like we've got to see Skeens once a week. We got to see Dylan Cruz like 4 or 5 times a week. And I think, you're right in reference to Harrison. And if a pitcher's not going to win it, if Skeens can't win it, I don't know if there'll be a year where, like it would have to be very special. But in reference to LSU, you talk about the staff. Man, I don't want to put DBU like as a team in the SEC that LSU will face, even though I still think they're a really good ball club. But, man, they went in there on the top 4 batters and struck them out 10 times.
Yeah.
Like that is insanity. And then you had Grant J in there, who I, quite frankly, when it comes to mid-major like players, I think he's the best as the hitter. Like, I mean, this dude hits tanks. I mean, the one last night went 440 feet. I mean, like
the pop's unreal.
The pop is unreal. So when you look at a game like DBU, does it kind of put an early stamp on like, oh, man, this LSU team could be a little bit different than what we saw from last year's?
I think maybe it's a little too early to tell, but I think that it goes to show, to play a very good team like DBU that's always in the postseason hunt, that is just feels like a power mid-major team, an upper elite threshold mid-major team that doesn't play like one, and to go do that in a neutral site in a MLB ballpark, I think it shows a lot of, who LSU is. And I mean, you had Connor Ware, who I didn't even mention as one of the starters, who went 4 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, no walks. I mean, he was electric, and the stuff plays. And then I think Kassan Evans is an elite arm out of the bullpen. I think he'll be a great closer if they keep him there. I mean, 2 no-hit innings, 2 strikeouts, no walks. I mean, it feels like he lets up like maybe a hit per outing, and just feels like his stuff is so dominant. Yeah, right. And I mean, I think he's going to burst on the scene once SEC play starts, and you're going to realize like this is an elite arm that's in a bullpen that has a lot of guys. I mean, and Blake, we haven't even mentioned the offense yet. I think the offensive talent at LSU is a different style because I mean, you look at the first kind of 2 weekends of the season. It hasn't been with the long ball. I mean, they have 8 home runs as a team, and they're all spread out. No one has more than 2, but you have 6, 7 guys batting over 300. I think you got 9 guys over 300, and you have 5 guys batting over 400. I mean, it just shows to the kind of, I think, different style a little bit. I know you can speak more to that than traditionally LSU. We've seen with teams recently, but like the OPS of all of them is there. You got 6 guys over 1,000 OPS, which that's going to translate and correlate so well, especially when conference play comes, because they're maybe not hitting as many home runs right now in non-conference as LSU fans would want or expect, but the RBIs are there. I mean, Daniel Dickinson's got 15 RBIs. He leads the team. Jared Jones got 13 RBIs. And you got Derek Curiel, who's probably going to be SEC freshman of the year at this rate, but he's batting 440 almost with a almost 1,200 OPS. It's just unreal. I mean, he's so talented. I mean, Dan Dickinson transitioned in from Utah Valley. He's been seamless transition. I think that was one of the, when you have mid-major players come and transition into SEC programs like LSU, you wonder, all right, how is the tools going to play? He batted 360 in this mid-major, balled out, 50 RBIs, but is that going to transition versus seeing SEC pitching every week, right? And 3 times a week. I think he is a prime case of, one that will, and it just goes to add to the depth that this LSU lineup is to support an elite pitching staff on the mound.
Last question, LSU related, before we get around the SEC really quickly, which we'll get you out here pretty quick.
You got me as long as you want.
Danny Dickinson, are we supposed to be wearing all loop cross earrings, gold earrings? Is that the new style? Is that the new swag?
I mean, Chris is a big fan of it. He loves the swag, the style. I mean, I'm not too keen on it. I mean, I think there's a, within reason aspect, but I don't think it's too far out there. You see guys in the Braves and major leagues, wearing neon sleeves and stuff like that. I mean, I don't love it. I mean, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not going to go do it if I'm out there, but he's playing the way he is, and it's not too overboard. Let the kid play. Let the boys play, I mean,
I got to tell you, if he's going to stay this red hot, me being an LSU fan, I'm buying me a clipped gold earring, and I'm going to put it right here. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. The dude's just got swag. And listen, this is what I feel like when you talked about Jay and kind of a different build. The reason I bring this up too is I feel as if like Jay's, like the swag that they have is a little bit different, right? Like it's a different type. Like Skeens, Cruz, don't talk. We're all about business. We're going to go in there and dominate. This team's like a little bit of the same, but they got some stuff with them now. Like, they going to let you know when they going to bark at you a little bit. And I'm kind of like, all right now. That's what I like about, like, even the earring, like a King Griffey, Barry Bonds style. Like, all right, I see the swag in you. That's the thing that I think that I've seen a lot from this team early too.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is that, people at LSU, but I think more so outside of LSU, and be like, all right, well, you better go play good. You better, go win every game, which obviously isn't possible. But you better go ball out, basically. And I think as long as that's happening, no one's going to complain. But I don't think people should complain if it does, unless, you're losing the utmost majority of your games in conference, which I don't believe LSU will this year or any year in the next 5-10 seasons. Definitely not under Jay Johnson at the helm. But I think I like the swag. I honestly do. I think it's great for, building a little bit of culture. Obviously, winning helps a lot, and LSU does a lot of that every year, Blake. But I think it helps grow the game of college baseball, which I think is the most important thing at the end of the
day. SEC, let's go around them. I know that there's some big games this weekend, but I'm going to ask you about one in particular. I'm going to leave it open-ended. But I'm going to start it here. Let's start at A&M. Is there a reason to panic in Aggie land? I mean, number one team, fell twice already. I see a lot of people panicking on A&M, and I'm like, y'all better chill out for the current moment. Am I crazy?
Yeah, I think you need to chill out. I mean, I think there's just growing pains they're going through. All the pressure is on them this season from the jump. You get a new head coach as well. There's just so much pressure riding on them. You have Gavin Gohovac now, who was struggling and just battling through injury. He's out for this season. He's going to have labrum surgery. You have another one of your power bats, out still. And you have, 2 of your other biggest bats in the lineup kind of going into it. The number one player and expected draft player out of college off the board in this coming summer in 2025 MLB draft. In Jay Slavilet struggling, he's batting about around his body weight. And you talk about that, like those are your biggest bats that are struggling. Gavin Cash, the transfer from Texas Tech. And just, you think about it, I just think that I don't see that happening all season long. Jay Slavilet's too elite, too talented of a ball player for that to happen all season long. Same with Gavin Cash. Yes, you lose Gavin Gohovac. It's a huge loss. I think he's going to be obviously still super involved in, mentoring a lot of younger guys and whatnot. But then you have other guys stepping up, right? You have guys around them. The pitching staffs, I don't want to say lights out or it's not blowing people away, but Ryan Prager's doing his job. He gives you a chance every single Friday night. He's one of the best pitchers in college baseball. It's not Hagen Smith, Paul Skeens, Liam Doyle, blow you away stuff, but it's there and he knows how to pitch. And that's a big thing to do in the SEC is have stuff, but know how to pitch. And he has both of that. It's just not overly, 95, 98, it's so much pitchability, which I think is a lost art in this game. But then you have good arms in the bullpen. It's just, I think the talent is all there. We know the talent's there. And you got Terrence Keele II, a freshman, leading the team in batting average, batting 400. I mean, he is a stud in the making. I think he's going to be a big name on the scene the rest of his SEC career, which would be 2 more years for sure. And you got, Wyatt Hesseliner and Caden Kent, who are elite studs on the mound or in the box that have a lot of talent too, that are, carrying the load while other guys are struggling, right? But I think the biggest thing that I've seen and heard from directly in and around the program is just kind of the identity of this team. I talked to Jace Lavalette on my podcast Behind the Scenes, and he talks about last year, just their kind of culture and mindset in the locker room was win. That was an acronym they went by, win. What's important now? And Chris and I talked about that more on the wind up on SEC Unfiltered about how, there really isn't, I don't think, an identity or acronym that they're kind of going with right now or whatnot, but you can really lean on that. And a lot of the veteran kind of aspects and players in the locker room that have been through a lot of adversity, they've been to the College World Series and in the finals and just dealt with those hardships of losing the championship. And just, I think it's only going to bring this locker room closer. It's only going to make Michael Early a better head coach and a better managerial coach in the game and outside the game. And it's only going to make this team better. So when SEC play comes, hopefully they're rolling in hot, or at least peaking, starting to climb at that point and kind of get their feet under them. They've been through some adversity, and it's going to play well for them throughout the season because there's just too much talent there, Blake, for them not to play well this season.
Last thing I got for you here, Harrison Fant, SEC Unfiltered, joining us. Paul Mainieri got a big weekend this weekend. Former LSU head coach got a big weekend this weekend. Clemson to South Carolina. Let me just ask you this before I ask you about what you think happens this weekend. Are you ready for the LSU fan base to watch Paul Mainieri lose a weekend series and then them go ballistic if they win in Frisco? Because that's what they're going to do now. They're going to be look at Paul over there struggling against Clemson. Anyway, either way, Clemson, South Carolina series this weekend. Look, man, I got to take Clemson. I heard y'all earlier today. I think I got to take Clemson here, but how good is this series going to be? A couple of really good opponents going up against one another.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I stand on, I think it's the best rivalry in college baseball, right? Like historically as a whole. I do. I know LSU fans are going to love that. I mean, LSU Mississippi State is a huge rivalry. I don't think it's the same as Clemson South Carolina, especially that the history that they have as rivals in Omaha on the biggest stage, right? And just, I mean, I think program over the course of the program's history, both of them. I mean, it's an in-state rivalry too. There's a lot of battling recruiting as well. And there's guys that have, with COVID recently, transferred from Clemson to South Carolina. I mean, Monty Lee used to be the head coach at Clemson. Now he's at South Carolina, and everyone thought he was going to get the head coaching job. I think Paul Mainieri is going to be getting the full experience of what this rivalry is. And LSU, like I said, LSU fans are not happy about it, but I think it's the biggest and best rivalry in college baseball because traditionally both teams have been really good and super competitive. And throw the records out the window no matter what. I know both teams are very, very talented. South Carolina's undefeated still. Clemson has 1 loss, I believe. I mean, there's just studs on both sides, and I think that it's going to be a scrappy game. It's not a who's got more firepower. It's got who's got more clutch hits in those moments, or who's got come in out of the bullpen, runner on second, runner on third, and slam the door shut. Get out of a huge inning or a huge jam. And one of the quotes I saw from media availability with Paul Mainieri was, do you think you and Backett you're going to get in a fight or anything? He goes, have you seen the guy? He's jacked. I'm 67 years old.
Yeah, I saw
Super funny moment, but I think it's just, the fans are so intense and so invested in it. It's super cool that it's a home, neutral, and away. I love that. I really do. Right. Some people don't. I don't think Chris loves it. I think it's super cool because you get to play in a neutral site, which I think is super cool. And they switch it from Segra Park, which is in Columbia, so it's not really that much of a neutral, I guess. But then you play in Greenville like they're doing this year. It's interesting, though, Blake. The Saturday game in Greenville at the Drive Stadium is at 1 o'clock, but the Sunday game in Founders Park, South Carolina, is at 5 p.m. So we're gonna get Sunday night lights on a Sunday. Yeah, and I think it's we both ended up picking Clemson. I mean, I graduated from South Carolina. I hated doing it, but I'd rather be right. And I think South Carolina is easily going to, show up and they're going to ball out. I think no team is going to sweep in this. I think it's going to be a rubber match on Sunday. And I just think Clemson's lineup's a little bit deeper and proven against better talent that South Carolina hasn't faced yet. And I think it's just going to be 1 or 2 clutch hits difference in a game on Sunday.
I actually think it's kind of interesting, the home, neutral, away, because then you don't have the whole thing. Well, we were on the road this year, and it's
Exactly.
early season. Like you get to really kind of
Yeah.
test it. All right,
So you're a fan of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, look, I just it's interesting. It's not, I don't know if I want to do that with my biggest in-state rival every year, but it's an interesting like dynamic to it. And you said you were a South Carolina guy. Do you think South Carolina football and Shane Beamer got hosed out of the playoffs? Do you think they should have been one of the playoff teams getting in there?
Of any of the 9-3 teams, I think they are absolutely the best 9-3 team at the moment. Yes, they lost to Alabama. They lost close when they got boat raced by Ole Miss. But looking back on it, it's like, all right, we're glad we kind of left them out. The playoff committee is probably thinking of that with several teams. But I mean, you had so many elite, respected analysts saying South Carolina is the best 9-3 team and the best team that missed out that should be in. So
I actually agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think they got hosed. I don't think Boise State should have been in there. So that is.
I mean, hey, is LSU getting back in there next year?
Well, they just lost their D-line coach. So I don't, there's a lot going on in the Bayou right now. We're a baseball school, Harrison. We're a baseball.
Okay. So last thing, is baseball the number 2 sport at LSU?
Yes, it's not close.
Really, even NIL wise and like revenue share wise, because it would have to be basketball for that.
Revenue share. Revenue share. No, not from a financial commitment standpoint.
Which is interesting.
From an NIL, LSU people spending money on stuff, it ain't close. Baseball cleans the clocks with basketball. I
have a feeling that, like, in just my kind of gut feeling from around, talking to LSU people and seeing on Twitter and whatnot about, they don't really care about men's basketball, but it's women's basketball with Kim Mulkey. I mean, it's like South Carolina. I mean, you got Dawn Staley, one of the best coaches in college basketball, and then the revenue they bring in compared to men's basketball. It's just an interesting dynamic that you've seen the revenue shares, the numbers. It's like 5% to other sports, and that's baseball's in that other sports category because so many schools, teams don't operate in the black for sports other than football.
Yeah, I mean, 2022, I think, was the last year that I saw, or 2023. I think because LSU got to Omaha in 2023, they were in the black, but they were just over the black, like $200 because they were in Omaha for that long. I will just say this. I feel confident in saying this. There's no way, no how that this fan base is going to spend more money, and this booster base is going to spend more money on basketball than they do baseball. It's not. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen.
I agree, and I'm glad to hear.
Well, listen. I don't mean this in a wrong way, and I'm not even going to call out players. Jason, the number 1 overall class, and got Derek Curiel, Kason Evans, and all those dudes from a 2 back-to-back number 1 overall classes to come here. You think Kate Anderson didn't want to be the 45th pick? You think William Schmidt didn't want to be the 30th pick to the Dodgers? Come on now. I mean, like, I ain't trying to be that guy, but I'm being that guy.
I've talked to sources directly at other schools that I'm not going to name and no dollar values, and it's crazy. It's crazy what NIL is doing for players. This is baseball.
I know. It's like Harrison, people do not realize. I'm glad we're having this conversation. People do not realize. Now, in basketball, there's a lot of money in the Northeast and West Coast when it comes to how much money's being spent. In the Deep South, the dudes making the money outside of football are baseball players.
Yep.
And I know the SEC is dominating in basketball. I get that. I don't think people realize how much these dudes in baseball are making. They have no clue. I know for a fact that a dude in the transfer portal went for a starting SEC QB spot. Know it for a fact. So again, that ain't Harrison. That's not happening in basketball, buddy. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
You talk about how SEC basketball is too, and just the landscape of that. I mean, as deep as the SEC in basketball is, we talked about it with our SEC Unfiltered crew about is SEC deeper in basketball or baseball this year?
I got to go baseball.
Really?
Yeah, I got to go baseball because here's the thing. The proven commodity is 5 straight national champions with all different teams. Okay? Like you just said. Like, think about this. LSU was probably the 10th best team in the SEC last year. They're a pitch away from beating North Carolina, who made it to Omaha. That's the point. That's the 10th team in the SEC. The 10th team in the SEC in basketball, yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's a strong chance, Harrison, a very strong chance. One of these teams, like Ole Miss has been red hot to start off the year. They've been swinging that thing now. All right.
They got some great starts to the mound.
Exactly. Y'all go ahead and find out. Y'all go right on ahead and find out. You're going to find out. I just can't. I can't do it.
Firsthand, Ole Miss is not investing in baseball.
I know that, and that's the crazy. People don't realize.
Sad.
Well, people don't realize how awful that is for Mike Bianco. They keep blaming him for everything. Well, you ain't helping him.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like they don't care anymore. But like the thing I love about LSU is the pedigree of the program, and I don't see LSU ever really falling off in the SEC.
Well,
I really don't.
I mean, listen, it comes to a point where could they have their year like they did last year? Sure. Is your floor getting hot at the end of the year, beating number one A&M and going into the SEC tournament and almost winning the thing and being a runaway from the national champion?
Exactly.
And being a strike away from hosting a super regional now. You're a strike away from God bless his name. It's on I know it. LSU's ace that came in at the end last year. God bless it.
I know what you're talking about.
Guys in the chat, help me out. You know what I'm talking. I can't.
Yep.
Lefty. From UCLA. I can't even remember. It's so crazy. Anyway, if that's their floor, sign me up.
Exactly.
And
that's also why, the program and, donors are never going to not invest in LSU baseball because of the tradition, but also the standard at which LSU is and the talent that's going to keep coming through that door, especially as long as Jay Johnson's there.
Without a doubt. He's a menace in recruiting.
And that's even after losing your pitching coach in Wes Johnson. And look what he did as he's doing at Georgia year 2 now, year 1.
And here was the crazy thing too, Harrison. I had people literally telling me Nate Yeskie wasn't that great at A&M. Brother, he's coached he's been at 3 College World Series as a pitching coach with 3 different teams. Because it didn't happen at A&M, he fell off, man. He can't do it no more. Bro,
yeah.
That's like saying Lane Kiffin wasn't still a great offensive coordinator. Anyway, I don't know. All right, Harrison Fant, thank you, buddy. I greatly appreciate you joining us. We'll see you soon. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that is Harrison Fant, SEC Unfiltered. All right, I did say old school AYS. Let's get to it here before we get out of here. We do have a $50 super chat from John Sibley Butler. It says college football is becoming a mirror image of the NFL, with the money being the most important thing. Isn't NFL coaching a better option? That there's no recruiting, development from early years, and dealing with other issues of teenagers. Listen, man, I don't disagree. Right? Like I don't disagree with that. I mean, I don't disagree with Bo Davis's decision, right? Like I just don't. And Dr. Butler, I greatly appreciate the super chat, man. I really do. You make a great point, and it's probably why Bo Davis left. Right? It's probably why Bo Davis left. It is and can be a very big deal for a guy. And listen, I'm just going to call it like I see it too. You're in a place where, I mean, he's got how many years until he can collect an NFL pension? Right? Like, I mean, it's a no-brainer for him. I mean, it sucks, and he's got to rip the Band-Aid off. But yeah. And Kevin says, as far as D-line coaches' names go, my money is on Al Davis or Gerald Chapman. Go get him. Pray for consistency. Guys, think about this. Shit. I mean, Bill Johnson was the last coach to be with you for back-to-back seasons. Bill Johnson. Carver says women's basketball, football, and baseball. That is not LSU's order, not as a collective whole. LSU's collective whole, when it comes to fan engagement, views, just overall fandom, it goes football, baseball, women's basketball. That is the truth. As of right now. No sport, men's basketball, men's basketball, gymnastics, whatever it is, softball, whatever it is, it's not going to be baseball. Not here, it's not. Think about this. LSU has been let's talk about the last time you went to Omaha. Guys, you packed out a stadium every night for 2 weeks straight on the road. On the road. People ain't doing that for women's basketball, dog. I'm sorry. They're not going to. Pack out a stadium. They may go to a national title or Elite Eight or whatever. Come on now. Pack out the stadium. Get out of here. Oh, he says no order. I was just typing. Okay, I got you. Makes sense. All right. We've gone a little long here. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.